Hi, today I'm going to tell you a story called The Land Where No One Dies, which is adapted from Andrew Lang's The Voice of Death, published in his Red Fairy book. The story itself was collected by Medith Remnitz in her Romanian fairy tales. And now, The Land Where No One Dies. Once upon a time, when people had sense, but not nearly as much sense as they thought, there lived an exceedingly clever man who wanted more than anything else in all the world to become fabulously wealthy. And because he was so clever, all of his investments multiplied, and before you knew it, he was the richest man in all the land. But he thought to himself, what good is all this wealth if I'm just going to die someday? So the next morning he saddled up his horse and took off to travel the world to find a land where no one died. In every country, he asked the people the same question: what do you do with your dead? And he got ordinary answers. People buried them or burned them or popped them in boats. One place they even tied balloons to their dead. But everywhere people died. And then one day, when the man asked his usual question, he got a quizzical response. Why, here no one dies. Thrilled that he had outsmarted death and found the land death had forgot, the man immediately raced home, sold his house, packed up his wife, 3 daughters, and all his belongings in a huge wagon, and set off for the land where no one dies. When they arrived, they settled in a town and made friends. Town was not quite as crowded as they had expected. They soon learned that while people didn't die, they did vanish. Apropos of nothing, someone would start up as if they heard a distant voice and race off, never to be seen or heard from again. So the clever man told his wife and daughters, here's how we do it. When you hear the voice, simply ignore it. Stay put, and then we'll get to live forever. Easy. And so there in the lap of luxury, the family lived. Days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months, and months turned into years. Everything was going great until one day the man's wife started up at the dinner table. She acted as if she heard a voice and said, I hear ya, I'm coming, just give me a minute. The man grabbed his wife by the wrist and said, you foolish woman, we talked about this. Sit yourself back down. And so she did. But the moment he let go of her arm, she was off again. He grabbed the hem of her coat. She shrugged off her coat. She raced out the front door. He followed her. And there in the front yard, he tackled his wife and he chained her to the gatepost. Well, all night she rattled her chains and hollered, carrying on, I hear ya, I'm coming. By morning, the man had had quite enough. If that foolish woman wants to get herself killed, who am I to stop her? So he unlocked her lock, and the woman took off, never to be seen or heard from again. Things went back to normal, mostly, wifeless. Days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months, months turned into years, and everything was going just fine until one day at the barber, getting his normal shave, a stranger sitting next to the man started up as if he heard a distant voice and shouted, I hear ya, I'm coming, just give me a minute. And off he went. But the man was prepared. See, he'd been waiting for this day. So he grabbed the trusty rope at his hip and lassoed that man like a calf that wouldn't listen, grabbed the barber's razor and said, I'm going to give this voice what for. And off he rushed, pulled by the man. Over hill and dale they ran, mountain and stream, through the woods. And then they reached a very high place. The man let go at the very last second, and the stranger tumbled end over end off a high cliff. When the man looked down, what do you think he saw but a deep, dark pit filled with bodies, broken, shattered, twisted. Cut to the bone, he rushed back to tell his friends that he knew what had been going on the whole time, and when the townspeople returned, there was no pit, just a wide, flat plain, no bodies. And from then on, the people died, just like everywhere else. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I hope to see you again soon. Bye!